What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I will be reading the Native American legend, How the Hopi Indians Reached Their World. This version comes from the book Voices of the Winds by Margot Edmonds and Ella E. Clark. With all that being said, let our story begin. When the world was new, the ancient people and the ancient creatures did not live on top of the earth. They lived under it. All was darkness. All was blackness, above the earth as well as below it. There were 4 worlds. This one on top of the earth, and below it 3 cave worlds, one below the other. None of the cave worlds was large enough for all the people and the creatures. They increased so fast in the lowest cave world that they crowded it. They were poor and did not know where to turn in the blackness. When they moved, they jostled one another. The cave was filled with the filth of the people who lived in it. No one could turn to spit without spitting on another. No one could cast slime from his nose without it falling on someone else. The people filled the place with their complaints and with their expressions of disgust. Some people said, "It is not good for us to live in this way." "How can it be made better?" one man asked. "Let it be tried and seen," answered another. 2 brothers, one older and one younger, spoke to the priest chiefs of the people in the cave world. "Yes, let it be tried and seen. Then it shall be well. By our wills it shall be well." The 2 brothers pierced the roofs of the caves and descended to the lowest world, where people lived. The 2 brothers sowed one plant after another, hoping that one of them would grow up to the opening through which they themselves had descended, and yet would have the strength to bear the weight of men and creatures. These, the 2 brothers hoped, might climb up the plant into the second cave world. One of these plants was a cane. At last, after many trials, the cane became so tall that it grew through the opening in the roof, and it was so strong that men could climb it to its top. It was jointed so that it was like a ladder, easily ascended. Ever since then, the cane has grown in joints as we see it today along the Colorado River. Up this cane came many people and beings climbing to the second world. When a part of them had climbed out, they feared that the cave would also be too small. It was so dark that they could not see how large it was. So they shook the ladder and caused those who were coming up to fall back down. Then they pulled the ladder out. It is said that those who were left came out of the lowest cave later. They are our brothers west of us. After a long time, the second cave became filled with men and beings, just as the first had been. Complaining and wrangling were heard as in the beginning. Again, the cane was placed under the roof vent, and more men and beings entered the upper cave world. Again, Those who were slow to climb out were shaken back or left behind. Though larger, the third cave was as dark as the first and second. The two brothers found fire. Torches were set ablaze, and by their light men built their huts and kivas, or traveled from place to place. While people and the beings lived in this third cave world, times of evil came to them. Women became so crazed that they neglected all things for the dance. They even forgot their babies. Wives became mixed with wives, so that husbands did not know their own from others. And at that time there was no day, only night, black night. Throughout this night, women danced in the kivas, ceasing only to sleep. So the fathers had to be the mothers of the little ones. When these little ones cried from hunger, the fathers carried them to the kivas, where the women were dancing. Hearing their cries, the mothers came and nursed them, and then went back to their dancing. Again, the fathers took care of the children. These troubles caused people to long for the light and to seek again an escape from the darkness. They climbed to the fourth world, which was this world. But it was too in darkness, for the earth was closed in by the sky, just as the cave worlds had been closed in by their roofs. Men went from their lodges and worked by the light of torches and fires. They found the tracks of only one being, the single ruler of the unpeopled world, the tracks of corpse demon or death. The people tried to follow these tracks, which led eastward, but the world was damp and dark, and people did not know what to do in the darkness. The waters seemed to surround them, and the tracks seemed to lead out into the waters. With the people were 5 beings that had come forth with them from the cave worlds: spider, vulture, swallow, coyote, and locust. The people and these beings consulted together, trying to think of some way of making light. Many, many attempts were made, but without success. Spider was asked to try first. She spun a mantle of pure white cotton. It gave some light, but not enough. Spider, therefore, became our grandmother. Then the people obtained and prepared a very white deerskin that had not been pierced in any spot. From this they made a shield case, which they painted with turquoise paint. It shed forth such brilliant light that it lit up the entire world. It made the light from the cotton mantle look faded. So the people sent the shield light to the east, where it became noon. Down in the cave world, Coyote had stolen a jar that was very heavy, so very heavy that he grew weary of carrying it. He decided to leave it behind, but he was curious to see what it contained. Now that light had taken the place of darkness, he opened the jar. From it many shining fragments and sparks flew out and upward, singeing his face as they passed him. That is why the coyote has a black face to this day. The shining fragments and sparks flew up to the sky and became stars. By these lights, the people found that the world was indeed very small and surrounded by waters, which made it damp. The people appealed to Vulture for help. He spread his wings and fanned the waters, which flowed away to the east and to the west until the mountains began to appear. Across the mountains, the two brothers cut channels. Water rushed through the channels and wore their courses deeper and deeper. Thus, the great canyons and valleys of the world were formed. The waters have kept on flowing and flowing for ages. The world has grown drier and continues to go drier and drier. Now that there was light, the people easily followed the tracks of death eastward over the new land that was appearing. Hence death is our greatest father and master. We followed his tracks when we left the cave worlds, and he was the only being that awaited us on the great worlds of water, where this world is now. Although all the water had flowed away, the people found the earth soft and damp. That is why today we can see the tracks of men and of many strange creatures between the place toward the west and the place where we came from the cave world. Since the days of the first people, the earth has been changed to stone, and all the tracks have been preserved as they were when they were first made. When the people had followed in the tracks of Corpse Demon but a short distance, they overtook him. Among them were two little girls. One was the beautiful daughter of a great priest. The other was the child of somebody or other. She was not beautiful, and she was jealous of the little beauty. With the aid of the Corpse Demon, the jealous girl caused the death of the other child. This was the first death. When people saw that the girl slept and could not be awakened, that she grew cold and that her heart had stopped beating, her father, the great priest, grew angry. "Who has caused my daughter to die?" he cried loudly. But the people only looked at each other. "I will make a ball of sacred meal," said the priest. "I will throw it into the air, and when it falls, it will strike someone on the head. The one it will strike, I shall know as the one whose magic and evil art have brought my tragedy upon me." The priest made a ball of sacred flower and pollen and threw it into the air. When it fell, it struck the head of the jealous little girl, the daughter of somebody or other. Then the priest exclaimed, "So you have caused this thing. You have caused the death of my daughter." He called a council of the people, and they tried the girl. They would have killed her if she had not cried for mercy and a little time. Then she begged the priest and his people to return to the hole they had all come out of and look down it. "If you still wish to destroy me, after you have looked into the hole," she said, I will die willingly." So the people were persuaded to return to the hole leading from the cave world. When they looked down, they saw plains of beautiful flowers in a land of everlasting summer and fruitfulness. And they saw the beautiful little girl, the priest's daughter, wandering among the flowers. She was so happy that she paid no attention to the people. She seemed to have no desire to return to this world. "Look," said the girl who had caused her death, "thus it shall be with all the children of men. When we die," the people said to each other, "we will return to the world we have come from. There we shall be happy. Why should we fear to die? Why should we resent death?" So they did not kill the little girl. Her children became the powerful wizards and witches of the world, who increased in numbers as people increased. Her children still live and still have wonderful and dreadful powers. Then the people journeyed still farther eastward. As they went, they discovered Locust in their midst. "Where did you come from?" they asked. "I came out with you and the other beings," he replied. "But why did you come with us on our journey?" they asked. "So that I might be useful," replied Locust. But the people, thinking that he could not be useful, said to him, "You must return to the place you came from." But the Locust would not obey them. Then the people became so angry at him that they ran arrows through him, even through his heart. All the blood oozed out of his body, and he died. After a long time, he came to life again and ran about, looking as he had before, except that he was black. The people said to one another, "Locust lives again, although we have pierced him through and through. Now he shall indeed be useful, and shall journey with us. Who besides Locust has this wonderful power of renewing his life? He must possess the medicine for the renewal of the lives of others. He shall become the medicine of mortal wounds and of war." So today, the locust is at first white, as was the first locust that came forth with the ancients. Like him, the locust dies, and after he has been dead a long time, he comes back to life, black. He is our Father too. Having his medicine, we are the greatest of men. The locust medicine still heals mortal wounds. After the ancient people had journeyed a long distance, they became very hungry. In their hurry to get away from the lower cave world, they had forgotten to bring seed. After they had done much lamenting, the spirit of dew sent the swallow back to bring the seed of corn and of other foods. When Swallow returned, the spirit of dew planted the seeds in the ground and chanted prayers to it. And through the power of these prayers, the corn ripened and grew in a single day. So, for a long time, as the people continued their journey, they carried only enough seed for a day's planting. They depended on the spirit of dew to raise for them in a single day an abundance of corn and other crops. To the Corn Clan, he gave his seed. And for a long time, they were able to raise enough corn for their needs in a very short time. But the powers of the witches and wizards made the times for raising food grow longer and longer. Now, sometimes, our corn does not have time to grow old and ripen in the ear, and our other foods do not ripen. If it had not been for the children of the little girl whom the ancient people let live, even now we would not need to watch our cornfields whole summers through, and we would not have to carry heavy packs of foods on our journeys. As the ancient people traveled on, the children of the little girl tried to take their powers and caused other troubles. These mischief makers stirred up people who had come up out of the cave worlds before our ancients had come, and they made war upon our ancients. The wars made it necessary for people to build houses whenever they stopped traveling. They built their houses on high mountains reached only by one trail, or in caves with but one path leading to them, or in the sides of deep canyons. Only in such places could they sleep in peace. Only a small number of people were able to climb up from their secret hiding places and emerge into the fourth world. Legends say that the Grand Canyon itself is where these people emerged. From there, they began their search for the homes the two brothers intended for them. These few are the Hopi Indians that now live on the three mesas of northeastern Arizona.